So possibly we can use human engineering to make it the case that we're intolerant to certain kinds of meat, to certain kinds of bovine proteins. And there's actually analogs of this in life. There's this thing called the Lone Star tick, where if it bites you, you'll become allergic to meat. I can sort of describe the mechanism. So that's something that we can do through human engineering. We can kind of possibly address really big world problems through human engineering.
The CIA is and Fauci. They were the head. Fauci was the head of the DARPA's bioweapons program, and the big thing is you create these viruses, and then you create a vaccine to counter them, and that's what COVID kind of turned out to be. But there was more to it than that, but that's definitely what it was. And so they've also invented, it's come to everybody's attention, and that Lyme disease was also invented in a lab and put in ticks. And as Dylan Radigan told us on this show, he was bitten by a tick that made him allergic to red meat. And that's another bioweapon. So so if you're in a war and the soldiers get bitten by a tick that makes them allergic to red meat, they get violently ill when they try to eat, and then they die. And then so that's how you win that war. So I just want to show you this because there's a lot of stuff happening right now with these ticks. And this is from Tucker Carlson's network.
The cases of Lyme disease are going up. The CDC estimates there are 500,000 cases a year. That's on average 1,300 people a day.
Where do we think this came from?
Lyme disease wasn't a problem till the peak of the biological weapons program in the U.S., the mid-'70s. These three freaky diseases showed up. Lyme arthritis, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and then there was a parasite called Babesia.
So you have a cluster of these previously rare diseases right across from the U.S. government's biological weapons testing facilities. Is that what you're saying?
This is the perfect stealth weapon. It's poor man's nuke.
It's hard to digest all of this. It's just so evil.
We can't control nature. And if we're going to play God and make these new germs inside ticks, there could be blowback, unintended consequences, and that's what I believe could happen.
So that's a definite. There's no... Yeah. But what's people are reporting recently is that this has been ramped up and that they're being dropped in fields and farmland across America, millions of ticks in boxes. And here's a bit of a video of one of them.
I'm out here mushroom hunting, and I found, there it is right there, the tick box. I'm not going to touch it because there's ticks all over that thing. I know there is. Look at them crawling out of it. Millions of them. You can see.
So that's what people are reporting, not just this one report, but all over the place. People with horses who take care of horses saying, we've never seen anything like these ticks. And here is someone saying that they think it's coming. They caught a helicopter dropping this stuff. Let's watch.
We have no clue who these people are, or what they're doing, but they're on our fucking top field. Who the fuck? What are you doing? Literally in our top field. Oh, there they go.
So that was back two times they made that trip to that farm. And I just want to let people know, in case you think this is crazy, Robert Malone, who was the doctor we brought on this show at the beginning of COVID, and everything he said about the vaccine and COVID turned out to be 100% correct, which is why the establishment, Big Pharma bought media, had to discredit him. But he owned several vaccine patents, and he developed the mRNA platform, not the COVID vaccine, but the platform that was built on. And so he's confirmed that radioactive Lone Star ticks were released upon Americans, and over the last several years, there's been a surge in tick-borne meat allergies from, you guessed it, the Lone Star tick. This man in the video is a WEF bioethicist named Matthew Lau, who in 2016 talked about making humans allergic to red meat through human engineering so they wouldn't eat meat so much. So I just want to play this for you.
So one is that people eat too much meat, right? And if they were to cut down on their consumption on meat, then it would actually really help the planet. but people are not willing to give up meat. Yeah, some people will be willing to, but other people, they may be willing to, but they have a weakness of will. They say, wow, this steak is just too juicy. I can't do it. I'm one of those, by the way. So, but so here's the thought, right? So it turns out that we know a lot about, we have these intolerance to, for example, I have milk intolerance. And some people are intolerant to crayfish. So possibly we can use human engineering to make it the case that we're intolerant to certain kinds of meat, to certain kinds of bovine proteins. And there's actually analogs of this in life. There's this thing called the Lone Star tick, where if it bites you, you'll become allergic to meat. I can sort of describe the mechanism. So that's something that we can do through human engineering. We can kind of possibly address really big world problems through human engineering.
So, you don't have to agree with this. Climate change is a scam, and it's used to do stuff like that to people.
Yeah,
and it's there it's a total scam. People have no idea, and so this seems to be our own government and being controlled by an international global billionaire class, the WEF globalists. And those are the people who really run things. Your congressmen don't run things. Your president has a boss, which is obvious through this Iran war. And some of the bosses are people like Bill Gates, right? So now Bill Gates funded research into genetically engineered cattle ticks. Now 450,000 Americans have red meat allergies from alpha-gal syndrome caused by tick bites. And I like this meme. How does a guide to get to block the sun, cover your organic fruit in film, insert fake meat into the supply chain, bioengineer mosquitoes to release vaccines without anyone's consent or approval, and not be called a supervillain? So what the hell is going on, Larry? Why is our own government and the billionaire class at war with people? What is the point of this, them doing this, besides bioweapons to be used in war? Why are they inflicting it on our own population?
Well, again, it gets to the heart. You always go back to the money. I always say, follow the money. And, the fact that this entire industry that's been built around, we can't figure out, is it global warming, or is it global cooling, or is it global climate change? I grew up recognizing that, climate changes. It's a dynamic system. It's not a static system. But this attempt to engineer it, and let's add another dimension to this. Why did the CIA and the Department of Defense have over 20 biolabs in Ukraine? What were they doing? And again, this it goes along with this line. You want to, if you can genetically engineer things that it can damage a target a particular population. Now, again, the whole premise on this is that if we get people to stop eating meat, then there's less cows, less cow farts, less, supposedly, reducing cow flatulence will improve the climate. It's such nonsense. But this is where you get the people these enormous fortunes are able to fund operations like this. That it sounds like something out of a Hollywood script, but the evidence supports it, and that's where you have to come back and say, what the hell was the CIA doing in Ukraine with the Department of Defense? You don't need biolabs. That was never, that's only if you're conducting an operation that has an ultimate goal of turning those bioagents into something offensive.